This is the Writers Are People 2 podcast, where I can't get writers to stop talking about themselves. Tonight we have with actually you're not even a writer. I'm the writer here,
I was
okay?
gonna
You're just a
say.
filmmaker. I'm the writer, you're the filmmaker. We have Joshua Lively with Studio Bluejay. So Josh, a little bit about yourself. What's going on?
Yeah, man. 30-year-old or 30 something, 32-year-old.
Getting old, man.
I know, right? Dad from Memphis. We just moved out here towards y'all out here. I have always liked film, cameras, that kind of thing. It's really I can remember, and only really started getting into it as serious as this the last 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's just a passion, I guess. It just comes out. You got to do it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that I don't want to differentiate my passions from my career. Now, I'm not at that point yet. Obviously, I have a day job, gotta pay the bills somehow, but I want to
Yeah.
move towards like writing and filmmaking and all that stuff on a more serious level. But for those of you who don't know, maybe your audience, Josh, maybe some of my audience don't even know, but recently wrote and directed a short film titled The Cardinal Sinner. In fact, you know what? I'm going to play the trailer for you guys right now.
I owe you many thanks. I'd surely be dead if not for you.
I have something for you. Your friends are dead. Do you not long to spill the blood of your enemies?
Strange words from a man of God. For vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
I would ask, who then is his instrument?
Wrath.
Guilt.
So be it. I am a sinner.
Man, that was such a great trailer, wasn't it?
What I need to see that film based on that trailer.
I know, exactly. It was so awesome. So I mean, first off, thank you for doing an amazing job editing. We'll get into like editing a little bit later on. But when people would watch the film, they would say, "Man, I love the cinematography and the sound design and the lighting." I'm like, "What about the story?" No one ever said anything about the fucking story. Nonetheless, as much as I wanted to take credit for all the hard work you did, like what's the creative vision behind your style? Because like a lot of this stuff that I wrote, it came from this vision that you had for a story.
So I didn't go to film school. I'm a YouTube university graduate, whatever you want to call it. So everything that I know, I've read from other people who did it, learned from them. And a big thing that they always talked about was cinematographer, editor, everybody's job is to serve the story. That's it. All your decisions should be informed from the story, which is from the writer, and directed by the director, which in this case was you. So, I mean, I have like what I think would be the best way to do that, and I guess that's where my style comes from. But I'm not gonna come in to your story and just say, "Oh, we should do this," because I like to shake the camera around. It's just the story's got to say shake the camera around, and then that's why you do it. Not everybody, I guess. Some people like have like a brand or like a style that they, you know, um, always do every time, that kind of thing. But like for me, my whole goal was to facilitate what you wanted to see. That's the whole point. So.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I love and appreciate that. Finally, someone is taking into consideration how awesome my skill set of writing and directing.
There's no movie
But
with no script, man.
that's true. But I mean, going back to your style, like your YouTube channel, I'll link in the description. Studio Bluejay, you do like very dark horror stuff. Like, why are you passionate about like dark screens and horror and like creepy sounds and stuff?
Man, it's gonna sound corny, but the idea for me is to entertain. I think that, life is tough, and then you go into a movie theater, and if you're getting your ass scared off, you're not worried about whatever, bills, politics, whatever it is. Like, to me, I just like it kind of goes back to why people used to go to the movies back in the day. I mean, yeah, when things are super dark and they're terrifying or gory, I'm not saying that the subject is light, but most of the time people go to see scary stuff with that in mind. It's what they want. To me, it's kind of like when people go. I mean, I don't even know if a circus is like still a thing anymore, but they want to be entertained, and so I want to scare people because that's how I connect, and then the way that I do it is how I express myself. But I mean, ultimately, that's just like it's like popcorn. It's blockbuster type stuff. I mean, I have themes and stuff that obviously I care about, but I want, however long that you watch something I made to, I don't know, be taken somewhere else.
Awesome. Yeah, and I feel like this was very different of a project than you're used to doing. Is the feeling that I got? You're used to doing like solo content.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like not that kind of solo content, guys. Get your mind out of the gutter. But like you mostly like write a script yourself, and you go and you put together a bunch of props, and you do something scary, and you're shooting yourself. Like sometimes you have somebody in it as well. But like, how was this experience so different from what you usually shoot on your channel?
Look, man, it was the best thing ever. It was a dream come true. I know that people say that, but I mean, it was like literally something that I've thought about. I got my first manual camera when I was like 15, and I've been messing with camcorders since before then. And I've always wanted to work with other people because there's a certain amount of ego that I think that most artists have. You're like, I think I make something good. But I never had that, like, I'm the only one who needs to make this. It's just such a collaborative thing. So all of my stuff before was solo because that's all I had access to. Literally the only reason. I would have shots planned up, scripts, all kinds of other stuff, and then was like, all right, I need somebody to act, and then all I had was me. So that's why it happened. I would have like much rather had somebody else do it. I would rather had somebody write it. When we got to do this, Cardinal Sinner was just like, oh my, finally, you love to write? That's great. Write it, You love to do sound? Here it is. That's great. I don't want to do it. I only did it as it was necessary, you know what I mean? And then I got to focus on what I wanted to do. So it's a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah. Well, shameless plug for any of your future projects. I'm an actor too. So if you need someone to like hold a knife and be scary for a minute, I can do that.
You'll be taken up on that. Now that I know people, I'm like, I just get so tired of editing my own face, man. I'm serious. Like, I've seen it enough. I really don't. I respect acting too much to put myself in anymore. You know what I mean? Like, there's just people that are hungry for the screen, man.
Well, you bring up an interesting point about like being collaborative. I think so you and I connected on a Reddit post, almost a year ago or whatever it is now, super random. I just posted, hey, I'm looking to get involved with people in the community, and like a couple people reached out to me. I did like a couple small things, but not much. And then you hit me up like 6 months later, and I was like, oh wow, I guess this is going to turn into something. And so I've always wanted to do collaborative stuff as well, and I feel like it's hard to rely on other people. But we had such a great group this time. Like, you showed up for everything, I showed up for everything, the actors all showed up on time. I mean, that's kind of all you can ask for.
Yeah, people don't get how hard it is just to have people show up.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually hard for us, but I was fully prepared to take over or whatever else needed to happen, and like we didn't have to. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Plus, it shows how much they care. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think was like the biggest challenge in this whole shoot? I mean, gosh, I can name so many things that like could have gone so terribly wrong. Like thunderstorms in the middle of the night. We were all just like huddled under a tarp, like trying to protect the equipment, trying to shoot a scene. Like the fireside scene was supposed to take place at night without rain, but it just rained. And then
now
like
it's got rain.
bug bites. Yeah. Oh, we did get like a cool lightning shot, so that was cool. Like bug bites galore. Your car got stuck in the mud. That was terrible. Yelled at by some ranchers. We ate nothing but pizza for like 2 weekends. Like just so many crazy experiences. But like, what was like the hardest thing for you?
Man, I am a very particular person. Like, I love to work with people in kind of like a that kind of jazzy way. That's great about film, how it's organic. But when I plan what I'm gonna do, I'm pretty meticulous with it. And we storyboarded for days. I had a folder this big, man, with like shot list, and it was like the most organized I'd ever been. I didn't open that thing one time.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it. We didn't have the time to be that particular. You just had to roll with it, which is not my strong suit. Like different people's personalities, that type of thing, great. But like changing a plan makes me nervous because of how much hinges on things going right. And I had to just like that was the whole point. Collaborative, man. You don't have control over everything, so it was a learning process for sure.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, we definitely spent a bunch of time putting together all the shot lists and stuff. And then when we got there, I just felt like the creative spark take over. I kind of just envisioned every shot and every scene as I wanted to see it. And so, maybe we couldn't have done something that disorganized on like a feature length or something. But I think it worked for something this short. Like in the moment, oh gosh, I didn't even think about this while we were writing it. I want to try this angle. I want to have him do this instead. Like I think we did have a lot of creative liberties, which I really appreciated.
I think you're right. I think that kind of worked with. It was easier for me than I would have thought to adjust because I left that space for the director. I mean, even if we had everything planned out, if you want it different, now it's different. And like, it was actually kind of the nice thing is that it wasn't all on me, which I was used to. Now it's just like, oh man, I mean, if he messed it up, it's not my fault.
You can fix it in post-production, man.
Oh man. Whew, yeah. We, had a lot of stuff that we just rolled with, which I feel like our end product is amazing for how crazy of a shoot it was. I hope you feel it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, no, I'm super happy with the way it turned out. We had like $1,000 budget, and that included all the pizza we bought, and all the Subway and everything, all the submissions to the film fest. Like if we would have had a sicker budget, I totally had this amazing Templar outfit picked out. It was like $1,500.
Man,
we needed 2 of them.
Like none of our budget went to any personnel or people or anything. It was just, I mean, food and some of the costumes and stuff. And it's just like, we didn't even break into what you normally start to spend on a movie.
Yeah.
So I think we did awesome. I mean, I don't know how much more shoestring you could get.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, it all comes down to the volunteer and the labor of love that everybody put into it. I mean, you did probably way more than I did because you were out there scouting the location and then all the post-production too. Like that was probably, an extra 5 hours a day of editing for a couple weeks. Like who knows?
I don't know, man. I towards the end did start to get fatigued a little bit, but I cared so much. Half of that was me. You know what I mean? Nobody else said, "Hey, you got to spend 10 hours trying to do this one thing that probably nobody will notice." But I felt like that, so it's like, I don't know. Like I said, I'd waited a lot of my life to have that opportunity. I didn't really complain much. I mean, it was awesome. Dude.
Yeah, and again, thanks to the actors and the crew as well for showing up and doing all that. Yeah, whatever, just their faces and them learning the line. They knew the lines better than I did at some points.
Look, man, there was one point where I was watching one of the actors like pour water out of his boot or something, and he was being cool about it. And we were all waiting for him, and I was like, yeah, we're all waiting because nothing happens until he's ready to go. So I was like, if he just was like, you know what, screw this, man, this is stupid, and then left, like, you can't. I was like, wow, the entire thing hinges on these guys. I mean, it's crazy how important actors are, and they all showed up. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and even with how important they are, none of them had egos, which I really appreciate. I feel like everyone on the shoot was super cool, especially with all the things going wrong with, bug bites and water and all that stuff. It was a great crew to work with.
Yes. I mean, especially, yeah, like with all that, I mean, tempers could get crazy, and, it was pretty awesome, man. I think we lucked out pretty good.
Yeah. So we talked about some of the challenge, but what was like your favorite scene to shoot?
Oh, man. I know it sounds crazy, but 100% when we're in between the two thunderstorms at night, getting rained on, knowing it's coming. I know probably in the back of my mind that my car is going to get stuck, and I'm not thinking about it. Everybody's on their A game. Everybody knows that we only have this finite amount of time to shoot, and we're just filming in the rain. It was one of the coolest experiences, like, ever. Like, I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this is it, man. This is peak perfect. Which probably just some types of people maybe that sounds insane, and you would rather have the more planned thing go well. But, like, I don't know, man. I was just like, this is the real stuff. That's what.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. What did you think about like the choreography and the fight scene? Was that difficult? And like, how do you think it turned out from the way I wrote it to the effort we put into it to post-production? How did you feel about that flow?
I think that it suffered from I'm sorry. I think it turned out great. I think it would have gone. I think that I wish I had more experience in choreographing fight scenes beforehand, but we knew that going into it that I didn't.
Yeah.
So, I don't beat myself up too much, but also at the same time, I do know that was something that, like, my experience with hitting that, wall. I think it probably could have been done better, but I also think, between not having necessarily a fight choreographer like a film set might have, or stunt doubles, or whatever, I think it came out great. I'm just being critical. I don't think that it sticks out as I mean, I haven't seen anything on that, like, budget or independent level that makes us look like we didn't know what we were doing. I just know that I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like you said, being overly critical, I think even though I'm happy with the end product, I still look at things we could have done better. Now, can we do it better on this project? Probably not. It's over and it's done. Unless we make that feature length, who knows? But like future projects, it's definitely a learning process. And like we got cool reels for our portfolios now and stuff. But like it's definitely been a great learning experience. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and you can't pay for that, man. You literally can't.
Yeah.
Like, the next shoot that we go on that has some sort of problem that you already experienced from this last one we did, and then you'll be like, oh no, man, I already know we need 5 rolls of duct tape. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or like something's falling off, or like just anything like that you now have rolling around in there is just priceless, man. I mean, yeah, definitely a learning experience. I wouldn't say that it's perfect, because I pretty much would never say that, but I'm pretty happy with the end result. I mean, almost 10,000 views, not bad.
I know, that's crazy. It's been out for what, like under 2 weeks, and
2
we're at
weeks.
10,000. I mean, I know we're not like Mr. Beast or something, guys. Give us a little break here. We're happy with 10,000 views for now.
Dude, I don't know, man. I mean, I think that you see those guys or people that have these millions of views that it just seems normal, but man, I went years of stuff that I would work for weeks on and get like 100 views. And it's not even about like the clout. I just want like people to see it. It's the whole point, you know what I mean? And like, I don't think that people like fully grasp how well we did, and
Wow.
like, you know, I don't know, man. I think that you should be pretty happy. There's nothing wrong with like, learning experience, like you said. And I am a perfectionist, so I get that part. But man, it could have nosedived like you can't even believe, man. You don't know me that well. I could have been out of focus the whole time. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, dude, stuff like that happens. Somebody gets mud on the sensor and doesn't notice, or
Mhm.
the lead actor it disappeared. I mean, I think that the problems or the things that we're looking at, man, are just so we're lucky we have those to look at. You know what I'm saying? We're lucky we have a film
Yeah.
to critique.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, what's your long-term creative goal? Is it YouTube? Is it Hollywood? What are you aiming for?
I would say probably like lofty goal is something like Shutter. You know what that is?
I do not.
It's kind of like Netflix, but it's specifically horror. Uh,
Okay.
so they tend to a lot of the stuff goes towards like streaming, and then
Hmm.
Netflix obviously or something like that would be the big one. It's like a couple tiers down, um, something like that to have like a feature to get on there where people can see it. It's pretty popular for people who like horror. I mean, it's like decently well known, but it's still like niche, So I'm not trying to like full Hollywood. Probably not. Is not necessarily, I don't know, man. I just feel like at a certain point the money starts to supersede the art, and I know that
Mm,
sounds hippie or whatever, but like
yeah.
I'd rather make less money and not have to just to deal with some of the stuff that you read about behind the set. You know what I mean? Do you read anything
Yeah.
about this? I'm sorry, I don't know how you do these interviews, but the Joker 2 director,
No, what happened with that?
the guy rejected all DC input. The guys that wrote Joker
Yeah.
basically came up and was like, James Gunn. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's like
Don't.
a pretty big director who did one of the Suicide Squad, the cool one, and then he just took over in DC. Basically, he just told him to like screw off. And then he took the DC logo out of the beginning of the movie. And then he made it like a musical, which is not doing very well. And the idea is that I think that he knew it wasn't going to do well, but he had kind of a blank check because the first Joker did so well. Everybody said yes, thought it was going to do
Mhm.
that well, and then like went to his cabin the week it premiered because he knew it was going to be bad. It was like this, like I don't want to deal with stuff like that, man. I just want to make a
Yeah.
movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
And
don't
I
know.
think I saw an article where like Joaquin Phoenix was talking. Was it with Lady Gaga who he starred with? Is that what
Yeah,
it was?
yeah,
And he was like, it was at the premiere, and someone like lip read what he said, and he said like that was terrible or something like that.
yeah. It's like but it's okay. The director's doing whatever. I mean, he was also directed the Hangover movie, so he's probably worth a couple hundred million. So he doesn't care. And but that's not the point. The point is all these other people that poured that. I mean, they were just as passionate as me and you were. So stoked to be on it. And then like the politics or the egos get involved with all that money. And I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, sure, it'd be really cool if they handed me like a $500,000 camera and you know sent me to Bali or something. I mean, yeah, that would be cool. But I don't know, man. The small scale stuff, especially with technology and affordable equipment and stuff that we can do, it was pretty cool. But I mean, a little bit more money might have been nice, but
Yeah.
we need 2 million.
Yeah. I think the creative space is definitely pivoting more towards the creators themselves right now instead of like big budget producers and studios because of like you said the technology. Like even someone can go out with just an iPhone and shoot something that's nice to watch. Even if they
Yeah,
don't have all like the boom mic and the camera like you do and all this stuff, it's still palatable to watch. And if you have a good creative mindset, you can do amazing things. So I do see a lot of hope for us in the future, even if we don't quote unquote make it to Hollywood. I don't think like you said, money is not my end goal. I think it would be nice.
No, it would definitely be nice, but like, it's not my like, it definitely would be. I mean, I pushed pretty hard to try to monetize my YouTube. I mean, obviously money is a real thing. I mean, I have a son, my wife
It's a
works,
tool.
but yeah, it's a tool. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like I want to make enough money. If I could make enough money to do this full time, even if it was a full time job and I lived decently, I would be super happy. If I made as much money as I do now doing this, I would be so happy. I don't have to make $100 million. I mean, like I said, it'd be nice, but that's not. It's the creative itch inside me. I have to get this stuff out, and I'm probably going to do it even if I do it for free. So I might as well make money along the way, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can, why not get paid? And also, if you're creating, a lot of the thing for me is the money you could pay the people so they don't have to volunteer for you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I felt like if I could have, I would have paid our people. Of course, I couldn't, and I was hemorrhaging money already. But I was like, y'all deserve to get paid, and I hope that y'all get paid on your next gig.
yeah.
That's one thing
for
that
all the
money would
audience
be cool.
out there. This is how tight of budget it was. We walked out of Subway after buying sandwiches, looking at each other, asking if that was too expensive. Okay, that was the kind of budget we were on.
Look, man, that was though. What we spent $100 on subs for like 10 people.
It was like 86.
Dude.
And that guy was a trooper, man. He was pissed that he had to make all those sandwiches, but he just busted them out. There was a fat line behind us after that.
Oh man. Just wherever Belton, Tennessee. Oh, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty glad we got into the horror fest. I'm a little sad we didn't make any awards, but Highlands Horrorfest, I was glad that they had it. It was a cool experience to feel, to sit in the audience and see people's reactions and feel their reactions and the vibe during the movie. I think that was like one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, that was really cool. That's the part that I was talking about. Like, you could see however many people, 150 people were in there, and they're all focused on your deal, and I don't know, man, it's just cool. Whatever they got going on, they're just all kind of communally connected and seeing what you did. It's a really cool feeling, man. I mean, and then it's like a vicarious thing for you. It's your story, the actors, it's their performances, that kind of thing. I mean, it was a really cool experience. The only thing is that for me, it's so hard to compare because you're like, oh, I wish we would have won something. But then, did you see that text that I sent you? That one actor was in like 7 and Speed with Keanu Reeves? And I was like, so we lost Best Actor to that? What? And then I'm like,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he was awesome. Like, the guy was awesome. But at that level, that's tough, man, because you also have somebody who shot it on, like, literally, like you said, an iPhone. And I'm not judging, but I'm just saying that's a huge, like, disparity, I feel like we should have won something, and if you took Hollywood out, we would have, Maybe that's just me, though.
Yeah. Well, I was a little bitter about Best Director, but we won't even go there. It's my first project. I can't have too high hopes for a first project, right?
I mean, it's always next year, man.
There absolutely is. We're gonna get on the docket for next year. I see many projects for us in the future. As long as you have me as a writer and director, I think I'll pump some stuff out.
There you go, man.
Awesome. Well, hey Josh, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks
Everybody,
a lot, Matt.
we had Joshua Lively.
See you, man.